HRchat podcast, bringing the best of the HR and talent communities to you.
Welcome to another episode of the HR Chat Show. I'm your host, Bill Banham, and today I am joined by Brien Convery, Director of Early Talent Acquisition, Attraction and Engagement at RBC, based in Toronto. Brien, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bill.
Brien, firstly, tell us a bit about your career history and just very briefly your role at RBC.
Sure, I'd be delighted to. So my career history has been a bit of a winding path. It's been one of those careers that has gone from everything from being involved in consumer products and purchasing to HR to consulting, and along the way learning a lot of new things and a lot of new opportunities, and that's led me to this path to be in the current role I am at RBC, which I'm responsible for early talent acquisition across Canada.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Now, you strategically lead RBC's campus recruitment teams in Canada to attract, engage, recruit, and mentor top student talent into capital markets, corporate functions, insurance, wealth management, and personal and commercial banking at, of course, one of the world's leading financial institutions. What do you love, and what are some of the challenges when it comes to attracting top talent? And how competitive is it at the moment? Is there really a war for talent, as we keep getting told?
Oh, absolutely. There's a war for talent. And I think probably the most important thing that we do each day is actually creating opportunities for the youth. And when I think about why I love what I do, it's the impact we have, it's the students we meet, and the talent we meet. I can't even describe over the last couple of years the level of talent and the level of expertise that is coming in with the new students, and the fact that they just think differently and come in with that mindset shift of really wanting to impact and make a change. So what I love the most is really just engaging with and meeting students and hearing their stories and what they're doing. You've talked to some students, they may have actually been a second-year student at Western, and they're on to their third company that they've developed. I spoke to a young individual the other day who is actually delivering vegan food to people, and also attending classes. It just blows my mind every day, the talent and what we see. The challenges that attracting top talent, I think it's really not necessarily too terribly challenging in that we offer so many opportunities as it relates to the bank. I think probably the biggest challenge I see is students still understanding what a bank can do, getting to understand what's happening in the different industries. A lot of students come out of post-secondary and maybe or in post-secondary and don't actually have what I would call exposure to that industry knowledge. So what we now do at a bank is very different than we were doing 1 to 5 years ago. We're involved from everything from cybersecurity to working in capital markets on the trading floor. So I think it's just really raising the awareness of what's available in the different industries, what's happening in financial services specifically, and for here at RBC, and having the students explore it. Be open to having those students come in, spend a summer with us, and explore all the opportunities are here. Once they've done that, their mind and what they think about the opportunities has changed, and they're exposed to so many different things and so many ways to leverage their various transferable skills.
So these young people that you're searching for, we at the HR Gazette, we write a lot about millennials and the misunderstandings between Gen Xers and millennials and whatnot, and also about the differences perhaps between Xennials, that micro generation, and other millennials who were born in the 90s onwards. From your experience, have you seen, or can you articulate some of those motivations of those young folk in post-secondary education now who are going to be going into the job markets in the next couple of years? What really floats their boat compared to, say, 10 years ago?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because that mismatch of skills or maybe perceptions or things that students may have, or even folks that are working at various organizations, I think some of the times when I talk to students, they want, meaningful work, as do most of us. They want flexibility, which we do as well. I think it's just this generation is better articulating that and sharing their thoughts and being open about it. So I think as we kind of look at that together, it's how do we just understand and maybe, break down those walls between different generations to discuss those types of opportunities. And I think, again, it's, not all that different than what you and I may have been looking for when we first started our careers, but it's really about things like meaningful work, having the opportunity to have impact, seeing results, being asked about their opinions. Along those lines, I think that's really what a lot of the students are looking for, and that's what we tried to do when we look at opportunities for students to join, whether it's a co-op, an intern, or just a summer opportunity with us.
Now, often I get an opportunity to interview companies and individuals within the recruitment space, and the conversation invariably goes to finding folk based on their past professional experiences. That's not the case with you, of course. As the folk that you're hunting down don't have that professional experience yet, what else do you search for when trying to find top talent?
So, Bill, that's a great question. And when we search for top talent, we're really looking for students and individuals that bring their true, authentic self and their experiences to the job market. What we look for is not just the school and the degree, but we also look for that full-rounded student. Have they been involved in communities? Have they been a part of a student-run organization? Have they been captain of a sports team? So we really look at all the different types of things that they may not have true maybe work experience, but they have life experiences. They have experiences that they've had being part of teams and being a part of a school experience. So with that, we look for that as part of our top talent search and really trying to identify students that are from various schools, various degrees, various backgrounds, because we pride ourselves here, and I look across all the organizations I work with in Canada, and having a diverse group of individuals working together just creates innovation and it creates change.
We'll be right back after this message from Florida International University. Looking to get a leg up in your career? Florida International University has 20 years of excellence in online education, and most master's degree programs can be completed in 12 to 24 months. Graduates know how to apply human resource strategies to advance corporate needs in the global market. The program is AACSB accredited, and a 1-year membership to the Society for Human Resource Management is included. To learn more, check out fiuonline.com/HR podcast.
Okay, you just alluded to something a moment ago, which is about being one's authentic self. Can you explain what that means to you?
Absolutely. I think one of the most important things is bringing that full self to work, and we pride ourselves on here in my role and with our teams is all being from different backgrounds and different ways of life. And some of us grew up at the bank, some of us did not. Some of us have had lived in different places, and some of us have lived in Toronto or Canada our whole life. So when I think about one authentic self, I really think it's more about being who you are and not being afraid to be who you are. And depending on your different backgrounds and your experiences, bring those to work. A lot of times I will talk to students, and as I said earlier, I'm a door opener, I'm a greeter, I'm trying to help them make that transition from school to work. And when I talk to some international students, sometimes they're starting off the conversation with, well, I don't have a lot of experience in Canada, I've just moved here. I'm like, okay, rewind, go back out and come in and say, I have diversity of thought. I grew up in a different country. I speak 3 languages. That's the type of thing that I think it's more about being okay with who you are, what your differences are, and sharing those with the employers and with future employers as part of your journey.
Perfect, thank you. Now, your role also involves encouraging the importance of being active and involved in diversity groups as a means for professional growth. Talk to me a bit more about that.
Sure. So what we're finding, what's very encouraging is there's a lot of there's a lot of student-run organizations that exist out there. These are groups of students that get together for a common cause or a purpose and actually come together to support each other, to be there for conversations, to be there to run different events, to raise awareness. So as we partner up with some of these diversity groups that exist across campuses, you'll find, Women in Banking or, the Rotman LGBT Letters Club for MBA students, or we'll find, persons with disabilities or Indigenous clubs. And so what we find is that the importance of being active in this is that you learn that your diversity is valued. You learn that you bring a different mindset to what's existing today. And for us, partnering up and sponsoring, being part of those conversations is a terrific way to find new recruits. And once they've joined us, we also look, with our employee resource groups to reinforce the support and the conversations and the activities that you may do. So again, it helps just your professional growth to understand that, being different is okay. Being different is actually awesome. And bringing that to employers and to school and to every day in your community is just a different way of encouraging that importance. So so I really do look to connect with these groups often and do so through various means, and really appreciate just the talent and the opportunities to talk to people from different backgrounds.
Now, when I was doing my homework on you, Brien, I noticed that beyond the RBC side of things, you're also the employer representative board member for a Canadian association called the Co-op Education Work Integrated Learning, where you serve as the voice of employers for and within the association. Can you tell our listeners a bit about the association, what it does, and a bit more about your role there?
Sure. Yeah, I actually just had someone this morning say, "When do you sleep?" But I just love what I do. So this is another outreach piece of my day-to-day work, which is super important because CWEL, which is an organization I'm a part of, was formerly known as CAFKE, which was the Canadian Association for Cooperative Education, for those who may have heard about it before. If you think of an accredited body, the board itself and the organization itself is responsible for accrediting co-ops and internship opportunities across Canada. And so as part of that, they're the ones that are helping to advise organizations and other schools and other colleges and universities what really sits at the crux of a full credited experience for students like a co-op. So they really kind of set the stage, if you will, on what that should look like. They define it. They work with employers to make sure that when you do hire a co-op student, that they do have a job that fits in that landscape, meets the criteria, including evaluations and on-site visits with students. So it's really an important body that comes together and works as part of that overall ecosystem. My role specifically on the board, I've been on the board for a little over 2 years now, is really just being the voice of an employer. So really helping to spend time at board meetings and discussions on what we are looking for in a student and what type of skills we're looking for, and really typing to drive the conversation so that post-secondary government and employers start to think more about how we come together in that ecosystem to make our students successful. So I get a lot of real enjoyment out of it. I've made a lot of friendships with a lot of the folks across the board and across all the schools and universities that are represented, from colleges to university. And again, the impact and the drive of the organization itself is terrific. And so it's a little bit about kind of what the organization looks like, my role, and something I really enjoy doing.
Now, something else that you're going to be doing pretty soon, as we record this at the end of March, is you're a speaker at the Digital Talent Acquisition Summit produced by the Strategy Institute, a great organization, which is happening April 10th and 11th in Toronto. So listeners, please do check out digitaltalentacquisition.com. Your session is called Embracing Digital Tools to Engage, Network, and Advance the Next Generation. Can you just summarize a bit about that session and some of the learning outcomes?
Yes, absolutely. I'm really excited to be there and encourage folks if they can join and attend to be there. It looks like a great lineup of speakers and a couple of great 2 days in Toronto. My role or my session's about, as you said, embracing digital tools and networking. Really, I'm putting together just a conversational piece where we can talk a little bit about one of the areas we see with students as being a struggle, and that's just networking. And I tend to say to students when I meet them, it's, networking, and mentorship. If you think of mentor as a verb and not a noun, meaning you may have many mentors in your life, and sometimes it's for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And as I get into my discussion at this event, which I don't want to lead too much here on the call, so people will actually want to come and see it, but I am going to share a little bit about my journey with an organization, fintech called 10,000coffees.com. Founder is Dave Wilkin. Met Dave a few years ago at an event and started talking about this when he first developed the concept. The idea is around the idea of Malcolm Gladwell's book about if it takes 10,000 hours to be an expert, and Dave's vision has been if it's 10,000 leaders meeting 10,000 students over 10,000 coffees, what would that look like? I think we all like coffee. Maybe sometimes you like tea. But the point is, having a conversation over a coffee or a tea is very different than having a conversation over a resume with a student. I was an early adopter of the system, so before I came to RBC, I was on it and meeting students from all across Canada in person, online, and through Skype. And, just really opened up the dialogue for me to get to know students more, what they were thinking about, where they were going. And it's a great way to build relationships and to connect students to employers. So we now have what we call the RBC Cafe. It's an exclusive opportunity for students when they join us, and it's just been an amazing journey. So I'm going to share a little bit about tips and tricks of how we did that, how you can maybe think about this on different scale. Maybe you don't work for a big organization, but you do want to have a similar sort of approach. That's possible too. So I think really it's just about sharing some of the outcomes and the learning outcomes that we've done through our approach. And I look really forward to sharing some of those stories in my journey and hopefully helping others to connect the dots to really making networking not just networking, but engagement with purpose.
Okay, we are coming towards the end of this particular interview, Brien. So one last question for you. It's a hard one, gosh. How can our listeners connect with you, and how can they learn more about the work that you do with RBC?
Absolutely. Thanks, Bill. Absolutely. Listeners, if you want to reach out, I'm on LinkedIn, Brien K. Convery on LinkedIn. I'm happy to connect there. I do a number of write-ups and blogs and sharing of thoughts there, so that's one place. The other way would be at Brien K. Convery on Twitter. And also you can follow all of our student activities and things that we're doing with our students at RBC for Students on Twitter. So that's at RBC4 Students on Twitter. So happy to connect, happy to share some ideas and thoughts and meet you for a coffee. So thanks, Bill. I really appreciated the opportunity to chat with you today.
And thank you, Brien. I hope that you and I get to go for a coffee at some point. That would be lovely. And
that would be great.
and listeners, until next time, as always, happy working.
Thank you for listening to the HR Chat podcast, brought to you by the HR Gazette.